We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Hey, Bourbon from the Low. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you as we're going to be joined in segment number 2 by a good friend of ours, William Boor, who does such great work over at Action Network. We have to talk about some of these young gun teams like the Nationals, like the Miami Marlins that have really heated up and provided a little bit of value. Can they be mainstays moving forward? And then we'll dive in on this great Monday baseball card in the final segment. Going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of two ways to be able to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, letters EM, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. Then from there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. Well, I did not get in any Twitter/X questions today. Boy, did we have a fun day of baseball on Sunday. Let's take a look back at it, try to find some trends and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
Cubs and Blue Jays may have gotten rained out, but the rest of the National League Central was pretty hot. The Reds, they were on to a 4-1 win over the New York Yankees. For the Yankees, they had 3 runs allowed over the course of 4 innings from Elmer Rodriguez. They decided to push Garrett Cole back, so he had a little bit of a rough one and does give up a bomb along the way to Tyler Stevenson. 6th home run the campaign. From there, the bullpen was pretty solid. Camilo Duvall does what he does best, gives up a run in an inning, but Tim Hill is scoreless inning along with Brent Hendrick, Paul Blackburn. 4 outside the bullpen, scoreless, Fernando Cruz, pair of outs scoreless, and Chase Burns. Not necessarily a ton of length, but for Burns, just 1 run allowed over the course of 5 innings. That 1 run, a solo home run to Ben Rice, 22nd home run in the campaign. From there, Tony Santillan, 2 shutout innings. Caleb Ferguson, Sam Moll. They're both able to supply a scoreless inning. For the Brewers, they were able to get a 9-4 win over the Atlanta Braves as Bryce Elder looked very elderly. 8 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings, taken deep by William Contreras, 7th home run in the campaign. And Robert Gasser was throwing gas. 2 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings, 7 punch-outs. From there, Chad Patrick allows 2 runs over the course of 3 innings as Rowdy Tellez. Yes, that Rowdy Tellez. First home run of the campaign. Former Milwaukee Brewers, great. And then Reynaldo Lopez on the flip side for the Atlanta Braves. An unearned run allowed over the course of 3 innings, but way too little, way too late out there. For the St. Louis Cardinals, they get the job done against the Kansas City Royals by a count 12-10. No shortage of scoring here. If you had the over in this game, you were able to cash in the 2nd inning as Dustin May, it was Mayday for him. He gives up 6 runs over the course of 2 innings, taken deep twice as Nick Lofton, his 2nd home run of the campaign. Jack Caglione, his 11th home run of the season. Then for Caglione, a little bit later on off of Riley O'Brien, his 12th home run of the season. O'Brien gives up 2 runs over the course of an inning of work, and then Jojo Romero gives up a solo home run in his inning of work. Carter Jensen, 10th home run of the season, but you were able to have Matt Savanson give you a pair of outs out of the bullpen squirrels. Maxwell Rakosic, hopefully I got that correct, he was able to give you 4 outs out of the bullpen, allows a run, but Ryan Stanek along with George Toriano both give you a shutout inning, and Stephen Kolek, he got 5 outs and he gave up 9 runs, all of which were earned, and he was taken deep 3 times. As Mason Wingate, his 3rd home run of the campaign. J.J. Weatherall took him deep twice, 11th and 12th home runs of the season of Herrera. A little bit later on off of Steven Cruz, his 10th home run of the campaign as Connor Siebold. 4 outside the bullpen squirrels for Cruz. 3 runs allowed in 1 2/3 innings, including that bomb. Lucas Ursich, 4 outside the bullpen squirrels. Matt Strawman scoreless inning, and Beck Way, 2 shutout innings, but too little, too late out there. You also saw the Pittsburgh Pirates, after a pair of losses to the Colorado Rockies, they get back online, 8-6. They were able to take down the Rocks as you had Jared Jones only go 3 innings in this game, allows 1 run, so he was taken out due to precaution. You had Yudo mess with the Yohan Ramirez, not get messed with as he and Evan Sisk both give you 2 innings apiece out of the bullpen scoreless. From there, Dennis Santana gives up 3 runs over the course of an inning, and he was taken deep by TJ Bromfield. 12th home run season. Gregory Soto gives up 2 runs, 1 of which was earned in his inning, but Michael Lorenzen continues to be awful here for the Rockies. 4 runs allowed over the course of 5 1/3 innings. He was taken deep by Nick Gonzalez, third home run of the campaign, and then Brian Reynolds off of Juan Mejia, his 11th home run of the season. Mejia gives up 4 runs in 1 2/3 innings. John Brebbia, 2 shutout innings, but again, too little, too late out there. For the Boston Red Sox, they're now 500 away from home. They fell to the Seattle Mariners 3-1, and Logan Gilbert, who's been really rough at home, nice start here. 1 run allowed in 6 1/3 innings. That 1 run, a solo home run to Nick Eaton. He ate up his first home run of the campaign, but from there, Gabe Speier, pair of outside the bullpen squirrels, Edward Bizardo, Andres Munoz, they both turn a scoreless inning, and Peyton Doley, well, he gives up 3 runs over the course of 6 innings, so he paid the Doley to Dom Canzone, who got his 12th home run of the campaign. Danny Kalum, Ryan Watson, both give you a shutout inning, but for the Red Sox, been very much a different team when they've been away from home rather than at home. The Orioles have struggled away from home, but not in this series against the Dodgers. 12-1, they pound the Dodgers as Emmett Sheehan, he gets destroyed. 6 runs allowed in 3 1/3 innings, gives up a pair of bombs as Taylor Ward gets his 4th home run of the season. Then you were able to have home run number 8 of the season for Colton Cowser. Blaze Alexander, he was able to go deep. Home run number 3 of the campaign as it was 2 runs allowed in 1 1/3 innings for Chase McDermott, the former Oriole. Jack Dreyer was able to come in for a pair of outside the bullpen squirrels. Edgar Enriquez, a shutout inning, but then you had Jonathan Hernandez give up 4 runs. He only got 5 outside the bullpen. Pete Alonso gets his 18th home run of the season off of him. And then Miguel Rojas, position player, a 7-pitch scoreless inning. Yay, verily there. And Brandon Young continues to be rock solid here for the Orioles. 1 run allowed over the course of 5 innings. Grant Wolfram, Keegan Aiken, they both give you 2 shutout innings apiece. The Miami Marlins, they are now 2 games above 500, 2-1. They take down the San Francisco Giants. Logan Webb, a complete game, gives up 2 runs over the course of 8 innings. Did allow a home run to Kyle Stowers, 8th home run of the season, but he did his part. Ryan Gusto, May Gusto, the fact they gave up 1 run in 4 1/3 innings, just not a lot here for the Giants as they could not hit the bullpen. John King, Calvin Fauché, both give you 4 outside the bullpen squirrels. Michael Peterson, great name. Lake Bakar, they were both able to give you a shutout inning. Meanwhile, for the Cleveland Guardians, not a lot doing here as they fall to the Houston Astros. This by count of 2-1. Kai Wei Tang gives up a 1 run over the course of 6 innings. From there, Stephen Oker, Brian King, Josh Hader all end a scoreless inning, and Slade Sassoni gives up 2 runs in 6 innings. He gives up a home run to Mr. Yordan Alvarez, 25th home run of the campaign. From there, Colin Olderman, Hunter Gaddis, they're both able to give you a shutout inning. For the Detroit Tigers, they take down the Chicago White Sox 5-4 in this one. Davis Martin, good start here. 1 run allowed over the course of 6 innings, and then bullpen yaks this game away. Brian Hudson a shutout inning, but you had Grant Taylor give up a solo home run in his inning of work. Dylan Dingler, 18th home run of the season. Serenity Dominguez, blown save. He gives up a run in the 9th inning, and then Brandon Eisert gives up 2 runs, one of which was earned without getting a single out of the bullpen. Jordan Hicks tried to hold on inherited runners, but unable to do so as it was Matt Vierling's RBI single that broke the difference. And for Kadiro Montero, not Monteroable, not great. 3 runs allowed over the course of 7 innings. Luanel Acuna, ding dong, the witch is dead. First home run of the campaign. Drew Summers, Kyle Finnegan from there both give you a scoreless inning. Wolves gives up an unearned run in the 10th inning, but it was enough for this team to be able to get to the window. The Tampa Bay Rays get to the window as well. 4-3. They're able to take down the Washington Nationals. For the Nationals, Andrew Alvarez. Not a lot of length here, but 6 punch outs and 1 run allowed over the course of 4 innings, and then the bullpen yaks this one away as Ryan Vilde, he goes deep off of Gus Varland. 5th home run of the campaign. Varland gives up that solo run over the course of 2 innings of work. Orlando Revolta, he would give one up to Johnny DeLuca. 4th home run of the season, gives up 2 runs in an inning. Paxton Schultz a shutout inning, but Nick Martinez continues to be rock solid here for the Rays. 3 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings. CJ Abrams takes him deep, 17th home run of the season, but from there, Garrett Clevenger, Brian Baker, and Kevin Kelly, they're all able to turn shutout innings, be able to turn a lot of runs out. How about the LA Angels? 9-7. They take down the Athletics. As for the Athletics, Jack Perkins, 4 runs allowed over the course of 5 innings. Punched out 8, but he also gave up a home run to Donovan Walton, 3rd home run of the campaign. And then Zach Neto off of Elvis Alvarado gets his 17th home run of the season. That breaks the tie as Alvarado was in the building to give up 2 runs over the course of 1 2/3 innings. And then Hogan Harris, not a hero. 3 runs allowed in a third of an inning. He was taken deep by Denzel Guzman. 3rd home run of the season and 3rd home run in his last 3 games. Yay, verily there, as you were able to have Luis Medina come in for a shutout inning, and Matt Crook had a scoreless inning as well for the Angels. Reed Detmers, not the start he was looking for. 5 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings. From there, Brent Suter gives up 2 runs, one of which was earned in his inning of work. Taken deep by Nick Kurtz, 19th home run season, but Jay Silseth, Sam Buckman, they were able to turn scoreless 8th and 9th innings to be able to get that one in, and being able to get this one in, the Minnesota Twins, 4-2. They take down the Arizona Diamondbacks as it was a pretty solid start here from Jose Cabrera. In his MLB debut, 5 shutout innings, and then the bullpen went to work. Brandon Garcia, a shutout inning, but Juan Murillo, 3 runs, 2 of which weren't given up in his inning of work. Kevin Ginkel, he comes in for a shutout inning. Ryan Thompson, he gives up a run in an inning as well. And for the Arizona Diamondbacks, 1 of 8 with men in scoring position as Matt Paredes, 2 runs allowed over the course of 5 innings, but Cody Lawyerson, Andrew Morris, Yandres Gomez, Anthony positive, and they're all able to end a scoreless inning. Being able to end some scoreless innings as well, the Walker Texas Rangers. They get the job done by a count of 4-3 as for Slam Diego. They were able to go 4 of 10 with men in scoring position. They got to Nathan Eovaldi, who gave up 3 runs over the course of 6 innings, but bullpen goes to work from there. Peyton Gray, Robbie Alstrom, and Jacob Junis all end a scoreless inning, and Wandy Peralta, the opener, he was able to pitch a shutout inning before Lucas Giolito continues to do Lucas Giolito things. He gives up 4 runs over the course of 4 innings, taken deep by Wyatt Langford, 6th home run in the campaign, had multiple home runs in this series, by the way. From there, Kyle Hart, Ron Marinaccio, along with Yuki Matsui, all end a scoreless inning, but a little bit too little, too late out there. And then for the Mets, after David Peterson left the game, things were a little bit more stable, but once again, too little, too late. 6-2, the Philadelphia Phillies get the job done. Kyle Schwarber, a Schwarbomb off of Peterson, 29th of the season. He's on pace for 61 now this season. Then Bryce Harper, 17th home run season, and that comes off of Austin Warren. For Peterson, 5 runs, 4 of which were earned, allowed in 4 innings. Warren gives up that home run in 2 innings of work. AJ Minter, Brooks Raley do not go off the Raleys. They both give you a shutout inning, and Zach Wheeler continues a wheel and deal. 2 runs allowed in 5 2/3 innings. Carson Benjay did take him deep for his 9th home run of the season, but from there, Jonathan Bolin and out on the bullpen squirrels, Jose Alvarado, Orion Kirkring, and Yohan Duran. They're all able to end a scoreless inning, and if you're taking a look at trend-wise what we're getting in Major League Baseball right now, overall for the season, the overs are hitting at just above 51%, 575 overs, 551 unders, and that serves me correct, 29 pushes along the way. Favorites on the money line, 55.6%. 625 and 500 are those favorites on the money line, and 146 of those favorites failed to cover the run line. Meanwhile, over the last 7 days, favorites sitting at more around about 57.5%, 51 and 38 on the money line. 12 of those favorites failed to cover the run line, and we've seen more unders than overs here. 46 unders, 42 overs, and a push in the last 7 days. That's right around 52.3%. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's what we're all getting trend-wise. Coming next, how about if we do chat it up with our good friend William Boor of Action Network right here on the Baseball Betting Show. Myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the VSiN Family Podcast.
We have the tech to get food delivered in 15 minutes, but we all have horror stories about buying tickets. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage. Get amazing tickets in just a few taps. Fees are included, so what you see is what you pay. And the Game Time guarantee means authentic tickets at the best price every time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to concerts, sports, comedy, and more with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
We're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. It's always great to be joined by this man, as we've got William Boor aboard, who does such an incredible job over at Action Network, taking a look at so many different fronts. I know that World Cup fever is really sweeping the nation. They're doing a great job of breaking that all down. Baseball fever is out here because, unfortunately, the NHL and the NBA seasons are all done, so one of the lone major sports remaining is Major League Baseball. They do a great job there, WNBA, and so much more, and always getting set for the football season. You're able to follow on the old Twitter/X at the letter W. Last name Boor, B-O-O-R, all together. And William, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Greg. Always happy to hop on, talk baseball, and talk betting with you.
Absolutely. And William, it's been a very interesting landscape over the last few weeks in baseball. And what do we make out of these young teams that they just don't seem like they're going to be going away? Like, I recognize that the White Sox maybe take a few losses over the weekend against the Detroit Tigers, but they appear to be mainstays. And for the Washington Nationals, they're a team that's really catching my attention as well.
Nationals are really surprising. I think I was kind of late to the party with them. I really thought that they were, a fun team that could hit, but wasn't really sure about any sort of staying power. I still sort of feel that way, but there's definitely more to them than I thought. I think they could maybe stick around, maybe compete for a wild card spot, something like that. That pitching, I'm not going to buy any futures on them with that pitching staff, but they definitely have some staying power. And I know you mentioned the White Sox slipping because they lost a couple to the Tigers. Look, I don't know. Maybe if they trade Skubal, this all changes. But the Tigers, having won 3 in a row, they're only 5 back. If you look at expected win-loss, they have the same expected win-loss as the Guardians. So the Tigers have been underperforming. If they progress to the mean a little bit, Cleveland falls back to the mean, that division could be interesting. It's not necessarily a good division, but it could be an interesting one for sure.
Yep, no question about it. I'm very intrigued to see what we're going to be getting there. And when it comes to the American League, is there any doubts right now that the Yankees are the top team out there? I recognize that they do lose a few games over the weekend against the Reds, but even without Aaron Judge, it feels like they've been better equipped to be able to handle the Aaron Judge injury this year than they have been in the past. And just with the way that the Rays have really been falling down, the Cleveland Guardians are all sorts of injured. I just don't know who's the challenger to the Yankees right now in terms of top spot in the American League.
Yeah, no, you're right. They are. If we look at the top teams in the American League, the Guardians run differentials -7. The Mariners is +17. The Rays is +8. The Yankees is +112. Like, it's not even close.
It's been wild what we've been seeing out there. So we've got a lot of fun on that front as William Boor does such great work over at Action Network, joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And certainly that American League wildcard picture, that is all jumbled up, but the National League is as well, because I feel like we know the top teams in the National League right now. The Atlanta Braves are going to be mainstays. The Brewers are going to be mainstays. The LA Dodgers are going to be mainstays. They're all 5+ games up in the division, but what do we make out of some of these, shall we say, teams that are just hovering a little bit above 500, like the Phillies, who are playing as we're doing this right now, the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, because I feel like there's a lot of teams that are just sort of hovering right there, and then throw in there the Pirates, who had a little bit of a rough go of it over the weekend against the Rockies themselves.
On that group, if you make me pick from that group, I'm buying the Phillies all day, especially if you kind of take out the first couple weeks of the season. Like, they're playing much better now if you take out those first 20, 25 games. So I think that's the team I have the most faith in. The Padres and the Cubs, I think, are the other two. I would put them a tier below the Phillies, but those are two that I'm really interested in as well. I think they've both, I mean, the Cubs are so bizarre. They're going to win 10 in a row, then lose 12 in a row, then win 8 in a row. The Cubs, I cannot figure out. You just got to bet them on the right week and figure out what's going on there. Padres really inconsistent as well, but like, there's so many names and proven players in that lineup that I just keep waiting for, them to win 12 of 15 and all of a sudden kind of solidify themselves. And I think if that comes, then you're going to have that wild card spot probably be Phillies, Cubs, Padres when it's all said and done.
Yep, and it's going to be an interesting landscape to look at moving forward as William Boor does such great work over at Action Network, joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And we are going to have a lot of teams of intrigue and action. And I'm going to start with this one because I know that Red Sox versus the Rockies might not be the creme de la creme game on the card, but the Red Sox have been the most bizarre team in baseball for me, because you talk about the Cubs, and they certainly are the most bizarre team in the National League. The Red Sox are right now 500 away from home. They average 4.5 runs per game, 12-25 at home with 3.4 runs per game. They're now about -115, -125 favorites. How do you look at them right now? Because with the Red Sox, I'm actually finding value on them away from home, and at Fenway, they've been a big giant turd this year.
That's another very weird team. You're right. I don't know what to do with them. And I mean, they're playing better away from home. They're hitting better away from home. We're better to hit away from home than in Colorado. So I think that's kind of a perfect storm of all the splits and all the trends if you want to follow that. But it's just a bizarre team. I mean, I obviously am never going to tell someone to not fade the Rockies. That's a good spot too. So like you said, this is not the most exciting game on tomorrow's card, but if you want to back Boston, I'd totally get it.
Yeah, I mean, man, they have been a team that has just been really catching my attention, because I still can't believe these home and road splits, because typically Fenway elevates offense rather than shrinking it. Let's take a look at a game that's going to be a little bit more rambunctious, because you did talk about the Tigers getting a little bit warmer. Right now, they're slim home underdogs here against the Yankees. Garrett Cole was supposed to pitch on Sunday, now pushed back to Monday, and he's about -125, -130, total of 8. I want to get your thoughts here, because Garrett Cole has not necessarily been able to get a ton of strikeouts since coming off the injury list, but I just flat out have not loved what I've seen out of Framber Valdez this far this season.
Yeah, so I know I opened this by saying I was kind of intrigued with the Tigers and they're heating up, and I still stand by that. But Monday, I like the Yankees. Garrett Cole, not a ton of strikeouts, but he's still throwing the ball well. 8 runs over 28 innings, the whip at 1, 2.69 xERA. Like, I really like what I've seen from him. And conversely, I don't hate the idea of fading Valdez. The xERA at 4.47, he's coming off one of his best starts of the year, but I want to see him do it twice in a row. I need him to prove that to me. He threw some good starts together, strung some good outings together in April, but it's kind of been rocky since then in May and June. So I don't want to necessarily back him right now, especially against a Yankees team that, as we talked about, is the best team in the American League.
Yep, I'm right there with you. And for Framber Valdez as well, he just has not been the same at home, ironically enough. As we know, he signed in the offseason with the Tigers. It just feels like it's not been going well for him in Detroit, and it sounds like he really wanted to stay with the Houston Astros. So maybe that's playing a little bit of a hand and a part of that as well. And then this one I think is interesting because the Brewers are Mondo-sized favorites, and they get back Brandon Woodruff for the first time since April. The Reds are right now between plus 135 to plus 147. Want to get your thoughts here because typically I would just love to be able to back Brandon Woodruff and the Brewers, but this is his first start since April. He dealt with massive velocity issues, did not look good at the minor league level, and this is just a spot where I can't back the Brewers at this high of number because I don't know what I'm getting out of Brandon Woodruff.
Totally get you. And then conversely, you don't necessarily want to back the Reds because the Brewers are good. And I wouldn't want to put a ton of faith in Brady Singer. This is one where I think if you want to bet something, I lean over. Yeah. But if you want to pass, I'm probably passing and just kind of watching Woodruff and then worrying about him again in 5 days and just seeing what you get from him so that you can evaluate moving forward. But I think, like you said, this is definitely a tough spot from him because you don't know the velocity. You just don't know what's going to get. So I don't necessarily want to put my money behind so many question marks.
Yep, I'm going to be in on the over of this game because we just mentioned it. With Woodruff, even if he looks okay, is he even going to give you a lot of length? And they don't call it Great American Small Park for no reason as well. So that's one that captured my attention as we've got William Boor does such great work over at Action Network, joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And then I think this one's interesting because don't look now, but the Miami Marlins have legitimately been the best team here in the month of June. It feels like a bizarre world, but Tyler Phillips is a minus 115 to minus 125 favorite. That total is 8 to 8.5. I want to get your thoughts here because Kumar Rocker, I've noticed throughout his career, has been absolutely atrocious away from Arlington. He's really been a, shall we say, merchant at home. Away from home, he's been a total fade. And with this Marlins team, I don't want to fade them right now, getting such a cheap price and going against a guy that struggles so badly away from home.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Marlins, I think, are good. It sucks that they're in that division. They kind of get overshadowed big picture, but they're a good team. Rocker has struggled, like you said, away from home. I'm on Miami here. I think this is a really good spot for them. I like this number. I'm all in on Miami on the spot.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I mean, it's been wild what we've seen out of the Marlins, but that's another young team that has been able to pay some dividends thus far. And then another one of those young teams as well is the St. Louis Cardinals. They were in like what was essentially just a gong show on Sunday, so we'll see how they respond there. They're about minus 132 to minus 144 favorites against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Merrill Kelly against Andre Palante. Want to get your thoughts here because I think it's starting to get a little bit lofty on the Cardinals, and man, it's not been great for Merrill Kelly, and that 8.5 total is really calling my name to the over.
Yeah, that's what I would say is I know the price on the Cardinals laying that money is a bit tough, but they have scored the third most runs in the National League this month. And you take an offense that's swinging the bat well against Merrill Kelly, who has given 15 runs over his past 3 starts, which obviously isn't great. And the ones before that weren't exactly great either. So I think this is a spot where you've got hot offense, struggling pitcher. I don't really need to do the math for you to tell you to hit the over there.
Yep, absolutely. And we've got ourselves a great card on Monday. 13 games, which for a Monday is pretty good because typically it's a travel day. Anything else that's really calling your name?
Yeah, I was looking at Houston-Toronto game as well. I'm really interested in backing Hunter Brown. I know it's just one start since he's coming back. That one start was really good. 5 2/3 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 7 Ks. Plus, you factor in what we know about him from the past. I know, if someone's coming back, it's always kind of dicey, but I like that he's got one start under his belt. So I might be on the Astros as well.
Yep, and with Hunter Brown, he looked really good in that one start, and total of 7 might be a little bit low here as well with the way that the Astros are swinging, and that bullpen has not been great as well. But a man that is great, that would be you, William. You're doing such an amazing job over at Action Network, taking a look at a little bit of everything, whether that be baseball, this great World Cup, and so much more. So let the good people at home know what's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Of course, Twitter, WBoor, WBOOR. Also, same on Blue Sky, but follow all my picks in the Action Network app, William Boor _, all one word. Download the app, follow my colleagues as well. Obviously, we have everything for every baseball game every day, as we talked about, but we have been crushing a ton of World Cup content as well. We have multiple betting guides, parlays, props, everything for every World Cup game every day. So I know Greg gets mad when there's no matinee baseball games, but there's been matinee soccer to help fill that void.
Absolutely. It's been a lot of fun to take a look at the World Cup because it gives us something during the day, and they have a lot of night games as well, which I absolutely love because I always call for the random college basketball games in Hawaii as well. So it's been a lot of joy to be able to take a look at this World Cup, and it's always a lot of joy to have William Boor aboard. A big thanks to him for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VC Family Podcast. Coming next, it is that time of the podcast. They give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by William Boor. He does such great work over at Action Network. Taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. Every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights, and did so once again today. So big thanks to William for joining me in the last segment. And now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at gunit_81. We're going to be going in Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first in time order, then the American League games, any interleague games. Those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice, neat, clean, and easy. Let's get things started with 901, 902 on the card. It is the Phillies. They are going to be on the road facing off against the Washington Nationals. This is a game that's off the board as we do know that Foster Griffin is going to be on the bump for the Phillies. Right now it is listed as to be determined for the Phils, and Alan Rangel is right now the projected starter. I've been seeing some words around the grapevine that he's going to be getting the start, and if it is Rangel going up against Foster Griffin, I did set the Nationals here at a minus 124, so minus 123 or better, I'm going to be in on them, plus 125 or better, looking at the Phillies, and set a total of a 9.39 or less. I like the over 9.5 or higher to the under. With our man of mystery, I'm not going to go too deep into him because we don't know whether or not Rangel is going to be getting the start, but if he does, he's gotten a few cups of coffee at the big league level. He's got a 3 ERA with 1 run allowed over the course of 3 innings as far this season, so obviously not much to take away from there. If you look at the minor league level, he's been posting up about a 4 ERA over at Lebanon Valley, 1.3 home runs, 3.5 walks per 9 innings. I think he's a below average pitcher. He can't be as bad as Andrew Painter, but I think that he's going to struggle a little bit. He's 28 years old, so a little bit older for a minor leaguer. And then on the flip side, you got a guy in Foster Griffin who has been getting it around a little bit, not necessarily getting the world's greatest amount of swing and miss, 8.6 strikeouts, 1.6 home runs allowed per 9 innings. So I do think that he's doing for regression with that 3.32 ERA, has more around about a 4.59 fielding independent, and he's given up a grand total of 6 earned runs over the course of his last 5 starts. Now he does go up against a Philadelphia Phillies team that's been in the bottom 5 of the big leagues in terms of run creation, and they are coming off of Sunday Night Baseball, so that's a little bit rough for them. That said, this is a Philadelphia Phillies team that has a guy in Kyle Schwarber that's on pace for well over 55 home runs thus far this season, over a 360 on base. Bryce Harper, 16 home runs. He's been able to give you a 355 plus on base. And then you do have Brandon Marsh, who's been a little above a 300. Past that, man, it's really rough for this team, as you've got likes of Alec Bohm, Bryson Stott, Trey Turner, the entirety of the catcher spot, all in the infield hitting below about a 240 with no power. And then out there in the outfield, Derek Hill, Armando Sosa, Adolis Garcia. Man, these guys are not giving you power. They're all not getting on base, so that's a little bit of an issue for the Phillies. They're probably going to need to dive into this bullpen a little bit, as they've got Brad Keller on the injury list. That hurts. I like Orion Kirkering, Yohan Duran. They've been able to give you a sub-3 ERA, but these guys like a Jonathan Bolin, Jose Alvarado have had their issues. Tim Mesa, he's able to give you some good innings along Chase Sugar, but it's a mixed bag in that bullpen. And then with the Washington Nationals, they've been a bottom 10 team in terms of bullpen ERA as well, but Brad Lord has been a really good long guy for the team. They had to use up a lot of that long relief in the Cade Cavalli start over the weekend, but the likes of PJ Poole and Richard Dickey Lovelady have been able to give you a sub 350 ERA, so I do like what they're able to bring to the table. And for the Washington Nationals, averaging darn near 5.4 runs per game, that's right at the top of the league. You've had James Wood give you good wood, a 400 on base. He's been able to slug it out with over 20 home runs thus far this season. CJ Abrams, he had, I think, 3 home runs in the 3 games in that Rays series. He's up to 17 bombs, 370 on base. And then other guys like Curtis Meade, doesn't hit for a lot of average, but 10 home runs, 336 on base. Down Lyles hitting a 250. Luis Garcia's hitting about a 260. So these guys are moving the line. As a result, 9 or less, looking at the over 9.5 or the under, 1 to minus 123 with the Nats, plus 125 or better. The Phillies, 903, 904 on the card. It's the Brewers. They're going to be on the road against the Cincinnati Reds, and yes, we're on to Cincinnati. They're on to Brady Singer. Hopes have the Brewers singing the blues, and got Brandon Woodruff on the bump for the Milwaukee Brewers. The total on this game is anywhere between 9 and 9.5. On the 9, over is minus 115 to minus 120. The under is between even minus 105 and on the 9.5, under is minus 115, over is minus 105, minus 162 to minus 175 is that number on the Brewers, plus 136 to a plus 156 is that number on the Reds, and I'm going to be in on the Reds. I set them at a plus 135. Now for Brady Singer, holy crud, it's been a no good, very bad, terrible season, and that's part of the reason why I'm on the over. I set my total at 9.8 for Brady Singer, 5.32 ERA, 6.15 fielding, dependent, 2.3 home runs allowed per 9 innings. More respectable recently, has given up a combined 4 runs over the course of his last 3 starts, 3 earned runs or fewer in each out of his last 4, so things might be turning around for him a little bit, but man, it's still not great, to say the least. But for Brandon Woodruff, what are we going to be getting out of him? Last we saw he was having a massive dip in velocity at the end of April, so lots of question marks there. He was posting up a 3.60 ERA, a 3.87 fielding, dependent back in the month of April, but and that's ancient history. At this point, you take a look at what he did in his minor league rehab starts. He made 2 starts. He gave up 6 runs over the course of 9 innings. That's not necessarily what you want to see, so yeah, I don't think that he's going to be long for this game. Now, the good news is the Milwaukee Brewers have been in the upper half of the big leagues in terms of opening area. I recognize that Trevor McGill, along with Abner Uribe, have had a few issues, but the alternate Paul has been able to post up a sub-3 ERA at Patrick. They utilized him as a long guy yesterday, so you're going to have the likes of an Aaron Ashby and company that are going to be available in this game. And for the Brewers, they have been an incredible offense. Top 4 team in terms of run creation. And that's despite the fact that they're a bottom 6 team in terms of home runs on a per-at-bat basis. Jake Bauers with his 13 bombs right now leads away as he and Bryce Terang are both giving you about a 370 on base. William Contreras continues to move the line. He's hitting about a 300. Jackson Chourio hitting at 310 bombs with less than 180 at bats. Could use a little bit more of somebody like a Luis Renifo, but they've been taking him out of the lineup a little bit with the reinforcements coming. Andrew Vaughn, when he's been out there, has been solid, though I know he's dealt with a little bit of injury, but overall, this team has been very solid in terms of the run creation. And then on the flip side, you've got a Reds team that's been right around about league average in terms of run creation. Obviously, they've been a little bit better with regards to scoring at home rather than away from home. And you got a lot of guys that are between 12 and 14 home runs. Unfortunately, one of those guys in LA De La Cruz on the injury list, but JJ Leday, because it's Al Stewart, Spencer Sear, all in that neighborhood, and all in between about a 240 to a 255. You have been able to get about a 360 on base out of Leday, 345 out of Sal Stewart, and you're starting to get a few more guys like a Nathaniel Lowe getting on base, hitting for about a 350 on base. Now, you need Martin Van Eugenio Suarez hitting a 208 with 7 home runs. That's honestly the plan. And for the Reds, this is a bullpen that has been absolutely lit ablaze since May 1st. They are a bottom 3 team in terms of bullpen ERA, so certainly I think that runs are going to be plentiful in this spot. Tony Santillan has seen his ERA go above a 5. You've got Chris Paddock coming out of the bullpen. That's just self-explanatory. You don't want that, to say the least. Chase Petty, he's been giving you over a 4 ERA. Graham Ashcraft has been dealing with injury. You've had Pierce Johnson on the injury list. Sam Moe, Brock, and Rolberg have been relatively solid, so do think that you get a higher scoring game, but I'm just giving the deficit of the doubt here to Brandon Woodruff, so plus 136 or better in on the Reds, and like the over, sub-8 total at a 9.8, 905, 906 on the card. The Cubs are going to be on the road against the Mets as Kodai Senga is on the bump for the Metropolitans, and Shota Imanaga is on the bump for the Cubs, and Cubs who find themselves as a bit of a favorite here, anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 112. Meanwhile, minus 103 to minus 110 is that number on the Metropolitans. 8.5 is the total, over and under both at minus 110. And for the Cubs, I did set them at a plus 105, so being able to get that minus 103, minus 104, I'm going to be willing to take a shot on the Mets. Now, the Mets, they are going to be coming off of Sunday Night Baseball, which that's always a little bit of an issue for this team. Travel's not too bad going from Philadelphia to New York, though, and Kodai Senga has been a total mess thus far this season. Wish I could put it any other way, but he's got a 9 ERA in his 6 starts. He is posting up a fielding independent of 681, 2.6 home runs, 6.4 walks per 9 innings. He is getting the 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, but you know who's been a mess recently as well? Shota Imanaga. For Shota Imanaga, he has been getting destroyed recently, as this guy has now given up at least 5 runs, and I believe now 4 out of his last 6 starts. Last 2 starts have been a little bit more respectable, but 4.26 ERA, 4.58 fielding independent, and the one good thing that the Mets have going for them, they have been legitimately one of the better bullpens in all of baseball. Oscar Brisbane, Brooks Raley, Luke Weaver, Austin Warren. These guys are all giving you a sub-3.25 ERA. As a matter of fact, for the Mets, they are currently a top 5 team in terms of bullpen ERA, actually number 5th to be exact. And for the Chicago Cubs, it's not an awful bullpen. They're 11th in the league. You are dealing with quite a few injuries, so Daniel Palencia is out on the injury list. They've been mixing and matching. Brian Rolson has been able to give you about a sub-350 ERA, so I like what he brings to the table. Well, Caleb Thielbar has been a little bit up and down, and they did get a little bit of rest by default because they didn't have to play yesterday. That game got rained out. But for the Chicago Cubs, you've got Alex Bregman along with Ian Happ ranking number 1 and number 2 in the big leagues in terms of men left on base. Now, Pico Armstrong has just reached another level. He's up to 16 home runs, 363 on base, but over the last 40 days, he's been arguably the best hitter in all of baseball. You've got Happ, who's up to 16 home runs as far this season, and you just have a lot of guys that are doing, I would say, an okay job of getting on base. Like, all these guys are between, we're going to call it about a 337 to a 363 on base. Core Armstrong and Happ, I mentioned before, but then it's like Alex Bregman, Miguel Amaya, Seiya Suzuki, Carson Kelly, but they just have a tough time being able to drive them in. And I just, right now, have zero faith whatsoever in Shota Imanaga. I do think that you're going to get a higher scoring game, even though the Mets, they have been a bottom 8 team in terms of run creation themselves. Juan Soto's been great. He's been able to give you over a 370 on base. He's up to 15 plus home runs this season, but nobody else in the starting lineup yesterday entered with more than 9 home runs. Bo Bichette along with Marcus Semien, 8 and 9 home runs apiece. Semien less than a 300 on base. Bichette is now hitting at 250, but not a lot of on base there. AJ Ewan has been able to move line a little bit along with Francisco Alvarez. Been a little bit rough there, but I think that Imanaga can get them back online. So being able to get minus 104 or better in on the best money line, and I do like the over. Somebody told it at 8.6, 907, 908 on the card. It's the Diamondbacks. They're going to be on the road against the Cardinals. Andre 3000 Palante is on the bump for the Cardinals, and Merrill Kelly is on the bump for the Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks do find themselves as an underdog here between plus 118 to a plus 120. Meanwhile, minus 130 to minus 144 is at number on St. Louis. 8.5 is the total. Over is minus 110 to minus 120. Under is between even and minus 110. And with the Cardinals, I did set them at a minus 134. So that minus 130, I'm going to lay it on the money line. For Merrill Kelly, it looked like he was turning the corner. He had a really rough start to the season. Then he had some nice starts. Now he's starting to toil up a little bit once again, giving up the 6th spot in his last start. 581 ERA, 599 fielding dependent, 1.9 home runs, 3.6 walks per 9 innings, and no swing and miss. Only about 5.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. And for Andre Palante, he's not a guy that's going to go out there and give you a lot of strikeouts or anything like that, but I have more faith in him right now than Merrill Kelly. 376 ERA, more closer to a 419 fielding dependent, 7.3 strikeouts, 2.9 walks per 9 innings. It keeps the ball in the yard. It is a Diamondbacks team that's been averaging right around about 4.5 to 4.6 runs per game away from home, so that's a top 12 mark in all of baseball, but you're just not getting the same amount of boom as you did a season ago. Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte along Corbin Carroll have both been able to give you 11 plus home runs this season, and Corbin Carroll does lead the league in triples since he came into the league, so that's a good thing. 370 on base. Geraldo Perdomo, Gabriel Moreno, both right around about a 358 with that on base, but some of these guys like Ode Barrosa, Adrian Del Castro at the bottom of the line, a Pavin Smith hitting below 200. You need a little bit more there for the Diamondbacks. They're a league average team in terms of their bullpen ERA. I really don't trust in Paul Sewell, but these guys like Kevin Ginkel, Juan Murillo, Taylor Clark, they've been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. Jonathan Loaiza has been able to do a pretty solid job as well. Other end, you've got a Cardinals bullpen that has been in the bottom 12 in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. They've been a little bit better recently. Hard to trust in Ryan Stanek along with Matt Savanson. These two guys have an ERA above a 5, and they did have a lot of bullpen use yesterday. Dustin May, it was May Day for him, so that was rough, but pretty much everyone aside from Kosic, who's the young gun for them that's a little bit more of a long guy, did throw for 17 pitchers or fewer, so should be all good to go here. These guys like a George Royano, Gordon Gassefo have been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. Riley O'Brien has been a little bit shaky, but I do think that for the Cardinals, they do find a way to be able to persevere here behind Jordan Walker, who's been so great this far this season. He's up over 15 home runs. He's been able to give you about a 290 average. Then you've got Ron Herrera, 4 on base. JJ Weatherholt is up to a 370 on base. Lars Newbar, Alec Burleson, these are guys doing a good job moving line. Bottom lineup can be a little bit rough, but Nathan Church along with Blaze Jordan, they're starting to give some stability there. So I do think that the Cardinals find a way here. I'm willing to lay that minus 130 money line that I'm seeing right now, and I did some I told you at an 8.6 on the 8F. I'm in on the over. 909, 910 on the card. It is the Atlanta Braves. They're going to be on the road facing off against East San Diego Padres. We do know that Grant Holmes is going to be on the bump for the Atlanta Braves. Right now it's old to be determined on the bump for the Padres. This is a game that's off the board. Right now Fangraphs and everywhere is projecting Michael King, so I'm not sure why this game is off the board unless if there's like some injury to Michael King that has been unbeknownst to me, but that said, when I take a look at this game, I did set the Braves as a very slim favorite here of a minus 103. I'm willing to lay up to a minus 102 there, plus 104 or better. I'm going to be looking at the San Diego Padres, and then I did set a total of a 7.9. So 7.5 or less in on the over, in 8 or higher, I'm going to be in on the under. I have no idea why Michael King wouldn't start in this game, as for Michael King, I think that he had a little bit of like a early exit in his last start. Everything that I'm hearing, he should be good to go in this game though, but I know that they're wanting to be a little bit of extra cautious here. But that said, for Michael King, he's overall been solid. 3.6 ERA, he does have the 4.36 fielding dependent. His strikeout stuff has been down about 7.7 strikeouts per 9 innings, but that said, only given up about 1.1 home runs per 9 innings. And for Michael King, he is a guy that always thrives in San Diego, as San Diego is one of the most pitcher-friendly ballparks in all of baseball. For the King thus far this season, a 3.30 home ERA compared to a 3.96 when he's been away from home. And on the flip side, you do have a great guy in Grant Holmes who is probably doing for a little bit of regression. 4.33 ERA, closer to about a 5.27 fielding dependent, 1.7 home runs, 4.2 walks allowed per 9 innings, but boy, oh boy, the San Diego Padres. I talk about San Diego being a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. They just have been able to get absolutely nothing going at home thus far this season. They're averaging fewer than 3.5 runs per game out of 30 Major League Baseball teams. They are 30th in terms of run creation, so that's a little bit less than savory, as you've got Fernando Tatis Jr., who is still stuck on 2 home runs this far this season. That's not a place where you want to be, though. He has been able to give you some on base. He's been able to give you about a 345 or so with regards to his on base percentage. You just have not been able to get much out of this lineup in general. The guys like Gavin Sheets, Sandro Bogarts, Jackson Merrill, all ending in that neighborhood about a 215 to a 230 with not a lot of power. And then Manny Machado's been able to give you either 12 or 13 home runs, but he's sitting at $179. That's been a big giant issue. Rodolfo Durn is useless at the catcher spot. Sungmin Sun has not been able to give you too much whatsoever. Padres' strength, though, has been their bullpen. They've been a top 5 team all season long in terms of bullpen ERA. You've got Mason Miller along with Jason Adam, who have been a really nice 8th and 9th inning duo. Now, Adam up to about a 250 ERA. He's been struggling a little bit, but Yuki Matsui, Wandy Peralta, sub 3 ERA out of these guys. Adrian Morejon seems to be rounding into form as well. And then with the Atlanta Braves, they are actually number 1 in terms of bullpen ERA, and that's the reason why I did set them as a slim favorites. The Dylan Lee, along Dylan Dodd, have both been able to give you sub 3 ERA. Robert Suarez, Raisel Iglesias have been rock solid. They do have Tyler Kinley on the injury list, but DDA Fuentes, 245 ERA. He's found a home here in this bullpen, and for the Atlanta Braves, they have been averaging about 5.9 runs per game away from home. Only the Dodgers averaging more on the road. Matt Olson, 20 bombs. He's been able to add a 270. You've got Michael Harris hitting above 314 home runs for he and Drake Baldwin, who's been able to give you about a 360 on base. Even with Ronald Acuna Jr. banged up, it seems still has a lot with Ozzy Albies. Give you 335 on base, 12 home runs. You just go down the list. These guys are all supplying, so I'm willing to lay up to minus 102 here with Braves, plus 104 or better, the Padres, and then 7.5 or less, and on the over, 8 or higher, the under. 9-11, 9-12 on the card. It is the Yankees, and they're going to be on the road facing off against the Detroit Tigers, as Framber Valdez is on the bump for the Tigres, and you've got one Mr. Garrett Cole who's going to be on the bump for the Yankees, and the Yankees do find themselves as a bit of a road favorite here. You're going to be getting them between minus 124 to a minus 131. Meanwhile, plus 105 to a plus 115. That number on Detroit, it is the total over and under anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 115, and I am in on the Yankees. I set them at a minus 141. I recognize that for Garrett Cole, only about 7.6 strikeouts per 9 innings, but 9 strikeouts per 9 innings at each out of his last 4 starts. He has closer to about a 420 fielding, depending compared to about his 275 or so ERA, but I do think that he's going to round into form against the Tigers team that has been averaging less than 4.1 runs per game thus far this season, and currently they're a bottom 6 team in terms of run creation. You've got Gleyber Torres back on the injury list, and I will say Kevin McGonigal along with Riley Green, both of these guys are giving you over a 380 on base, so they've been supplying there. And Dylan Dingler, 18 home runs. He's been hitting at 270. That's great. Spencer Torkelson, a double-figure amount of homers, but he and so many others like Matt Vierling, James Outman, Zach McKinstry, Jahmai Jones, they're hitting at 215 or lower. Juancio Perez got a fluke injury with like an exercise band. That's not a bad thing, and they let go of Zach Short, so they have been coming up short with their offense. And for the Tigers, they're in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. It's not atrocious, but they've blown so many games in the 9th inning, and well, when you have Kenley Jansen as your closer, that's going to happen to you. Will Vest has an ERA that's well above a 4. Tyler Holden seems to be rounding into form a little bit more, and dude like Kyle Finnegan, he's been able to give you a sub 3 ERA. Meanwhile, for the Yankees, you've had David Bednar along Camilo Duvall be a bit shaky in the bullpen, as for Duvall over a 5 ERA, but that said, the likes of Brent Hedrick, Fernando Cruz, along with Paul Blackburn, they've been able to give you sub 3 ERA, so these guys have been solid. And for the Yankees, they're averaging about 4.9 runs per game without Aaron Judge in the lineup. Ben Rice has been a big reason why, 22 home runs, right around about a 390 on base, and then you have the likes of a Paul Goldschmidt and Cody Bellinger who've been able to give you over a 350 on base. You've been able to get some good production as well out of Jose Calabre, who's moving line, hitting about a 265. Spencer Jones, a little bit of a disappointment since coming up from the minor league level, but I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Yasan Dominguez as well. Could use more out of Ryan McMahon and the catcher spot, but overall, I do like what these guys are bringing to the table, and I do think that they're going to be able to get the job done here. I'm willing to lay up to minus 140 with the Yankees on the money line. I do think that they get to Framber Valdez. Like, for Framber Valdez, a lot of people don't remember this, but he gave up 4+ total runs in 8 out of his last 10 starts with the Astros last season, and he struggled this season, a 4.09 ERA, 4.34 fielding dependent, career low 7.2 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's had an exceptionally, shall we say, trying time when he's been at home as well. It doesn't feel like Detroit is necessarily the home ballpark for him as he's posting up a 4.94 ERA at home. So I do like the over of 8 as well, semi-total at 8.2. 9.13, 9.14 on the card. It's a Rays. They're going to be playing us the Royals. Michael Wacha, and if he has a bad start, it's a dying Pac-Man voice of Michael Wacha, goes for the Royals, and Drew Rasmussen is on the bump for the Rays. And with the Rays, they are between minus 162 to a minus 174 favorite, and between plus 140 to a plus 150 is that number on the Royals. 7.5 is the total, unders minus 120, and the over is even. And with the Rays, I set their money line price here at a minus 157. If you're willing to lay a run half with them, you're going to be getting in that neighborhood about a plus 132, and I need at the bare bones minimum a plus 132, but I'm going to be willing to take a shot on that run line. Drew Rasmussen has given up a little bit of the deep ball this season, but he does a nice job in terms of not putting guys on cheaply. And additionally, for Drew Rasmussen, he's actually been way up with his strikeout stuff. Typically, he's sitting more around about 7.5 to 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. He certainly was last season. This year, he's been able to give you 9.5 strikeouts and 1.5 walks per 9 innings, and he's back down to right around about 1 home run allowed per 9 innings. 2.59 ERA, 3.03 fielding dependent. Meanwhile, for Michael Wacha, he's a wily veteran and guy that was actually pitching for the Rays a few seasons ago. I think he's going to be able to do a solid job here. 3.64 ERA, does have a bit of a higher fielding dependent at a 3.98, but keeps things out in front of him as well. 1 home run, 2.7 walks per 9 innings, only about 6.9 strikeouts per 9 innings, but the real trepidation they have to have with the Royals out of 30 Major League Baseball teams, 30th with regards to run creation at about 3.6 runs per game away from home, so that's been a big giant issue. You've got Bobby Witt Jr. has been able to give you a double-figure amount of homers, and they had a nice explosion at home over the weekend, but again, the home scoring has been there, the road scoring has not been. Carter Jensen is starting to work his way back up. He's hitting for about a 245, and I will say Jack Aguileone is starting to pick it up as he, Miguel Garcia, Michael Massey, these are guys in between about a 260 to 275. Caglione, he's up to 12 home runs. Jensen has now been able to give you 10 home runs, but Salvador Perez, I know that he's got like 10 home runs this season. 252 on base, it's just not going to cut it, and then you've got some of these guys at the bottom of the lineup like Isaac Collins and company. They're not doing much. For the Kansas City Royals, this is also a bottom 6 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Lucas Erceg has been a disappointment. He's posting up an ERA as well above a 5. Steven Cruz, Matt Strom, their ERAs are above a 6. Beck Way has actually been okay for the team. He and Connor Siebold hovering right around about like a 380 with their bullpen ERA, but man, it's just all sorts of rough for these guys, and recognize that the Rays, they themselves are in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. Cole Sulzer has been posting up an ERA well above a 450 along Garrett Clevenger, but Brian Baker along Kevin Kelly, both of these guys have been able to use a sub-3 ERA. Now, I will say both of these guys did pitch yesterday, so they're going to be a little bit hampered there, but they do have some relatively okay long relief, as you've been able to get a bit more recently out of the signings of someone like a Cam Boozer, Casey Lugumina. These guys have been relatively solid as well, and for the Rays, they've got 3 guys in Jonathan Aranda, Yandy Diaz, and Junior Caminero. They're all give you at least a 350 on base. They've all been able to give you at least 12 home runs thus far this season. Ryan Vilde has actually been able to do a nice job finding way on base, hitting about a 285. Chandler Simpson continues to swipe bags, move the line. So I do think that for the Rays, they do find a way to be able to get the job down here, and what I think is going to be a lower scoring game. I do like the run line at a plus 132 or better, and I'm in on the under. Somebody told us 7.3. 9.15, 9.16 on the card. It's the Astros. They're going to be on the road against the Toronto Blue Jays, as Hunter Brown is going to be on the bump for the Astros. It's looking like it's going to be Dylan Cease right now for the Blue Jays because they got rained out yesterday. And right now for the Blue Jays, they do find themselves anywhere between minus 126 to minus 133 favorites, and between plus 108 to a plus 110 is a number on the Astros, and then total is 7. Over is minus 120, and the under is even. And this is a case where I'm going to be in on the over. I did set my total at a 7.6. Now, Hunter Brown in his 3 starts has been great. 1.10 ERA, 13.2 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's only made 1 start since the middle of April, though, so you have to have some fair questions there. And I do believe that the Blue Jays are actually doing for a little bit of positivity with their lineup. For one, they've been a better team at hitting when they have been at home rather than away from home, averaging about 4.3 runs per game at home, less than 3.9 runs per game away from home. And you take a look at this team in terms of just being able to make contact. For the Blue Jays, they are second in the big leagues in terms of fewest strikeouts on a per at-bat basis. The biggest issue has been a lack of power. Kazuma Okamoto has been able to give you 16 home runs. Pretty much nobody else has more than 10 home runs on the roster, including Vlad Guerrero Jr., who continues to give you over a 350 on base, over a 275 average, but you expect more than 4 home runs out of him. But then you've got plenty of other guys like an Ernie Clement, Yohendrick Pinago, Jesus Sanchez. These guys who have been able to hit above a 280 for this team, so they've been able to do a solid job. Nathan Lukes is hitting above 300 as well. Even Dalton Varsho has been able to give you close to a 330 on base. It's been an up and down bullpen for the Blue Jays, as you gotta love what you've been able to get out of Tyler Rogers and Louis Varland. These two guys give you a sub 225 ERA. We're seeing some regression right now for Braden Fisher. He and Spencer Miles both hovering in the neighborhood about a 315 to a 335 ERA, but I do think that Dylan Cease going to be able to go out there and completely mow them down. He is up to 13.6 strikeouts per 9 innings, 271 ERA, less than a 250 fielding independent. He does still give up the walks, though. He gives up about 3.8 walks per 9 innings, and he goes up against an Astros lineup that has Yordan Alvarez giving you well above a 4 on base. He's been able to supply 23 plus home runs this season. Christian Walker, 18 home runs, hitting about a 245, not necessarily the world's greatest on base, and it is a bit of a top-heavy lineup, as you do have these guys like a Christian Vasquez, and then out there in the outfield, Zach Cole, Zach DeZenzo, Bryce Matthews, Jake Myers, Cam Smith. These guys who have all been hitting a 230 or lower with really not a lot of pop, but Isaac Paredes is up to a 350 on base. Jeremy Pena, 345 on base. Jose Altuve, though it's a little bit of diminished, Jose Altuve has been able to give you a bit of something as well. And with the Astros, I think that they help you out with the over because this bullpen has just been absolutely awful. Bottom 10 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Josh Hader coming back has helped this team, as he, Brian King, along with Steven Okert, give you a sub 375 ERA, but Aniel De Los Santos, 4+ ERA. Brian Abreu has been awful. AJ Bluebot's been better recently, but still have your issues there. So, circumstance where with the Blue Jays, I set them at a minus 131. Willing to lay up to a minus 130 on the money line. I like the over. I did set my total at a 7.6. 917, 918 on the card. It's the Guardians. They're going to be on the road against the White Sox. Anthony Kay says okay to another start, and you've got Kevin Williams on the bump for Cleveland. Cleveland does find themselves between minus 107 to minus 120 favorites. Minus 105 to a plus 102 is that number on the White Sox. 8 to 7.5 is the total on the 7.5. Over is minus 120, and the under is even, and on the 8, under is minus 120. Over is even money, and with the Guardians, I did set them at a minus 130, so I'm going to be in on the money line. I do think that Kevin Williams is going to be able to mow them down, getting over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. Now, has been a little bit more shakier in his last 3 starts, as he's posting up now about a 3.83 ERA. He had that exceptionally rough one against the Milwaukee Brewers, where he gave up a 7 spot there, so he has been struggling a little bit on the road, and it is a White Sox team that is a top 12 team in terms of overall run creation, even with Montaka Murakami out of the fold. Colson Montgomery only is hitting about a 220, but he has been able to give you the 20 plus home runs. Chase Meadroth is moving the line, give you about a 340 on base. Tristan Peters is up to a 350 on base, along with Miguel Vargas, and Vargas 18 plus home runs this season. Do need a little bit more from the likes of Luan Acuna, Edgar Quiero, Jacob Gonzalez. These are guys hitting below a 215, but Sam Antonasi is able to give you about a 385 on base. Have to have a lot of question marks, though, with Anthony Kay, because the ERA, for lack of a better term, to utilize a little bit of a pun, it's been okay, but the fielding independent is more around about a 527. He's given up about 1.4 home runs per 9 innings. His walks per 9 rate, that has been in the neighborhood of about a 3.6 as well, to go with a 461 ERA, and then you just have a bullpen that's really not trustworthy. Sir Anthony Dominguez has not had the world's worst ERA, but I mean, we saw them toilet bowl that game yesterday, and that was with a lot of your more trustworthy guys, like a Grant Taylor, who's been able to give you a sub 3 ERA going out there, and we're utilizing a lot of those guys for 20 plus pitches. That's a little bit of an issue. Brandon Iser, Jordan Hicks, they're both supplying an ERA above a 5. I don't have a lot of faith in Trevor Richards as a bit of a long guy as well. And then for the Guardians, they have been a top 10 team in terms of bullpen ERA ever since May 1st, and now they do have off the injured list one of their main guys in Eric Sabrowski, who's been able to give you a sub 325 ERA this season. Colin Olderman has been good. He's been able to give you a sub 2 ERA. Hunter Gaddis, after a shaky start to the season, is looking solid. Cade Smith, 20 plus saves, and he's been able to give you a sub 3 ERA. Now for the Guardians, they're averaging about 3.2 runs per game over their last 15 games, but again, I think that they get Anthony Kay here, still dealing with the likes of Anel Martinez, Chase Lauder, and Jose Ramirez being on the injury list. You haven't gotten a lot out of those star guys, though. And Travis Pizzana over at 365 on base, he's starting to supply a little bit of power. Brian Rocchio about a 345 on base. Austin Hedges is actually giving you a 325 on base. And then Reese Hoskins, need more out of he and Stephen Kwan. Both of these guys hitting below at 210. So been a little bit of an issue issue there. And as a result, I do think that you get a bit of a lower scoring game. So I told 7.9, so at an A+, I'm going to be in on the under, and I do like the money line here of the Guardians. I did set them at a -130. As we go on to 919, 920 on the card, it's the Baltimore Orioles, and they're going to be on the road against the LA Angels as Sam Idigerri is on the bump for the Angels, and Kyle Bradish gets a start here for Baltimore. And for Baltimore, you're going to be finding them as a pretty good-sized favorite here. They're anywhere between -150 to a -163, +135 to a +140 is that number on the Halos. Total on this game is between 8.5 to 9. On the 8.5, over is -120. The under is even. On the 9, under is -110 to a -115. Over is -105 to a -110. And for the Orioles, set their money line price at a -151. If you're looking to lay a run half with them, find that right around about even money. I would actually rather lay the -150 on the money line rather than lay a run half, mainly because it's an Orioles bullpen that's been in the bottom 8 in terms of ERA. We just have seen Ryan Helsley come off the injury list and not necessarily look like himself, so that gives me a little bit of pause. Now, they had a nice weekend series against the LA Dodgers, and this is an Orioles team that does rank at the top 10 in terms of run creation. You've got Blaze Alexander who's been able to hit well above 300 for the team. Pete Alonso is starting to get back to what we all know and love him to be, 337 on base. He's up to 18 home runs this season. Gunnar Henderson, 16-plus home runs, need more than a 294 on base, and Taylor Ward, only 4 home runs this season after he had 30-plus with Los Angeles last season, but still, give you a 393 on base. Even with dealing with the Adley Rutschman injury, Samuel Basallo has been able to give you a 260 average. He's up to a double-figure amount of homers. So have a few guys like Kobe Mayo and company at the bottom lineup that have been a bit shaky, but they've been able to do a solid job there. And for Sammy Idigerri, it's been up and down, I think is the best way of being able to put it for him. He had a few nice starts to begin the season, then we saw some regression in his last start, got absolutely tattooed against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Right now for the season, 4.50 ERA, 5 walks and 5.9 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's a little bit of an issue. And for his career at the big league level, 5.59 ERA didn't necessarily impress at the minor league level. And he's backed up by a bullpen that's just all sorts of atrocious. Like when you're throwing Alec Manoah out of the bullpen, you know you're going the wrong way down a one-way street. As for the Angels, you've had Brent Suter, Ryan Zephyrian, Drew Pomeranz all posting up an ERA well above a 4. Jay Silseth, man, he used him for 24 pitches yesterday. He's got a 2.22 ERA. He's like the one guy that's trustworthy in the bullpen. And I will say this for the Angels. Their road scoring has actually been really good this far this season. For the Angels, they're a top 6 offense, scoring about 5.1 runs per game away from home. That falls to 4 at home. That's a bottom 8 mark in all of baseball. And now you've got Mike Trout out of the fold as well, so that adds injury to insult. You've been able to get a double-figure amount of homers out of Zach Neto, but I only about a 225 average. We'll say the 327 on base and 17 home runs helps out there as well. Now, Denzel Guzman has been able to give you 3 home runs. Guzman is looking pretty solid for the team, and all 3 of those home runs came in the last 3 games, so we'll see if that's going to be a mainstay. Donovan Walton is hitting at 343, but I think the guys like he, Jose Siri, and company that have gotten off to nice starts as big-time veterans, I think we're going to see a little bit of regression there. And then with the Orioles, Kyle Bradish, I do think that he's going to progress as the season goes along. For Bradish, he was very limited over the last 2 seasons due to injury, and he's still clearly got some relatively good swing and miss stuff. For the season, 9.4 strikeouts per 9 innings, but 1.2 home runs, 4.6 walks per 9 innings, a 4 ERA, 4.33 fielding independent, but has given up 1 run or fewer in 3 out of his last 5 starts, coming off of 12 punch-outs on the road against the Mariners. So I do like the Orioles here on the money line, set them at a -151, and so I total at an 8.6, so at a 9+, I like the under. 921, 922 on the card, it's the Rangers. They're going to be on the road against the Marlins, as you've got Tyler Phillips on the bump for the Marlins. Coomer Rocker goes for the Rangers, and the Rangers find themselves as a mid-tier underdog here, as you're going to be getting them between +101 to a +107. Meanwhile, -117 to a -126 is that number on Miami. 8 to 8.5 is the total on the 8. Over is -115, under is -105 on the 8.5. Under is -115, over is -105, and with the Rangers, I did set them at a +146. Coomer Rocker just has such massive home and road splits that I can't trust him away from Texas. As for Coomer Rocker, overall for the season, he's been better than he has been in the past. About a 4.17 ERA, fielding independent of 4.38, 1 home run allowed per 9 innings, but 7.3 strikeouts, 3.9 walks per 9 innings. Those are not numbers that are going to knock your socks off. And for Coomer Rocker, well, he has been getting rockered when he's been away from home. For his career, 3.32 ERA at home with about 0.7 home runs allowed per 9 innings. Away from home, darn near 2 home runs per 9 innings allowed, and a 6.79 ERA. Meanwhile, for Tyler Phillips, began the season coming out of the bullpen. He's been able to make a relatively good adjustment to the starting rotation. Maybe he hasn't been quite the same as he was out of the bullpen, but still, 3.10 ERA. He does have a 4.23 fielding independent, the 4.6 walks per 9 innings, and only about 7.7 strikeouts per 9. That is a little bit of an issue, but That said, he has been so much better at home. How about a 0.83 ERA at home, 6.86 ERA away from home, and he gets a face-off against a Rangers team that's been in the bottom 5 this year in terms of run creation. Now, Jock Peterson has been able to give you over a 330 on base, and we're starting to see these guys move the line a little bit more, but I mean, you've been dealing with a lot of injuries all season long with Corey Seager has just been in and out of the lineup all season long. Wyatt Langford, he's only hitting about a 270. He had another home run yesterday, so I mean, he's really upping out this lineup. Josh Young is hitting above a 300. Ezekiel Duran has been able to hit about a 270. Brandon Nimmo has been able to give you about a 330 on base. Josh Foscue has been able to move the line a little bit, so you're starting to get a bit more there, and what I do like about the Rangers is the fact that they have been a top 8 team in terms of opening area. The Jacobs, Jacob Junis, Jacob Latz, along with Tyler Alexander, these guys have been able to give you a sub-325 ERA. They get Cole off the injury list. He has been a little bit shaky, but the likes of Gavin Collier and company have been able to step up for this team. Meanwhile, for the Miami Marlins, this has been a top 8 team in terms of opening ERA as well. I recognize that there's been a little bit of up and down, especially with Pete Fairbanks, the closer, not necessarily being himself, but now you've got likes of Calvin Fauché, Anthony Bender, who have been able to give you a sub-350 ERA. Michael Peterson, great name. He's on below a 335 ERA as well. Lake Bakar has been a solid long guy along with John King, so I do think that for the Marlins, they do find a way here, even with a lineup that doesn't provide a lot of power. They've been a bottom 6 team in terms of home runs on a per at-bat basis, and the bottom lineup, these guys like a Connor Norby, Owen Casey, Jacob Marcy, you're able to throw in their Kyle Stowers and get 225 or lower. Need a little bit more there, but Xavier Edwards continues at about a 285. Otto Lopez is hitting above 300, and then you've had Liam Hicks be your main boom guy with 14 plus home runs. So like the money line of the Marlins, set them at a minus 146, and I'm going to be in on this total to the under semi-total 7.9. 923, 924 on the card. The Dodgers are going to be on the road against the Twins as Zebby Matthews is on the bump for the Twins, and Eric Lauer goes for the Dodgers, and the Dodgers do find themselves as good-sized favorites here. Minus 146 to minus 158. Meanwhile, plus 130 to plus 135 is that number on Minnesota. 9 to 9.5 is the total on the 9. Over is minus 110 to minus 120. The under is between even minus 110 on the 9.5. Under is minus 120. Over is even money, and with the Dodgers, I did set them at a minus 149. If you're looking to lay a run half on that run line, getting only about even money at plus 104. Again, I would rather take the chalk, your money line, rather than rolling the dice here on the run line, mainly because Eric Lauer, while he's been better with the LA Dodgers, he's still giving up a lot of hard contact. With Eric Lauer, overall for the season, 5.37 ERA. That's gone down to a 3.32 with the Dodgers, but he's still giving up 2 home runs per 9 innings with the Dodgers. Well, with the Dodgers, he's got a 3.22 ERA, 5.57 fielding independent. Overall for the season, 6.41 fielding independent. He does go up against a Twins team that pitching has been awful. This bullpen is right now dead stinking last in terms of ERA. Like, I don't know who's trustworthy in this Twins bullpen right now. Maybe Cody Funderburk and Yandres Gomez. Both of these guys have a sub-4 ERA. Like everyone else, Andrew Morris, Cody Lawyerson, Anthony Banda. Like, insert your favorite player here. They all have north of a 4 ERA. Like, the entire bullpen is terrible. That said, you know what else you've got? Byron Buxton giving you 23 plus bombs this far this season, hitting at 275. Trevor Larnach is moving line. He's giving you about a 380 on base. Lucas Shaw all of a sudden is starting to get on base. Brooks Lee has been able to give you 12 plus home runs. Royce Lewis, since getting a call from the minors, he's been hitting above a 260. Cody Clemens, double figure amount of homers, hitting a more respectable 245. Ryan Kreidler, darn near a 300 average as well. And then for the Dodgers, they themselves have been seeing some regression with that bullpen. Jack Dreyer, along with Blake Treiner, posting up over a 350 ERA. Alex Vesey has been able to give you a sub 3 ERA, so he's been relatively solid. Tanner Scott, he's been a little bit up and down over the last few weeks, but not too shabby there. And for the Dodgers, they did have to go into bullpen quite a bit yesterday because Emmett Sheehan did not lend a lot of length. Now, I will say this for the Dodgers, starting to your 6 runs per game away from home. You've got the dad strength for Shohei Ohtani, 15 plus home runs, right around about 420 on base. They're getting back Tommy Edman, who in a very small sample size has been solid this season. Then likes of Freddie Freeman, Andy Baez, Max Muncy, only between about a 265 to 275. Muncy Baez, 14 plus home runs. Freeman, more around about 12 bombs this far this season. And Mookie Betts starting to look a little bit more respectable for the team as well. For Zebby Matthews, it's been a no good, very bad, terrible season for him this far. As for Matthews, last year he was really getting a lot of swing and miss, and this season that just hasn't been there for him. Right now for Zebby Matthews, 7.1 strikeouts per 9 innings. To his credit, only 1.9 walks per 9 innings, but 478 ERA, 470 field independent. So I do think that you're going to be able to get some runs up on the board. Semi-total 9.2. I like the 9 to the over end, with the Dodgers willing to lay up to minus 148 on the money line. Wrap things up with 925, 926 on the card. The Red Sox are going to be on the road against against the Rockies. Ryan Feltner is on the bump for the Rocks, and Jake Bennett is on the bump for Boston. Boston is a favorite here of any between minus 116 to a minus 126, plus 104 to a plus 110 is that number on Colorado. 12.5 to 11.5 is a total. On the 12.5, over and under both at minus 110. On the 11.5, over is minus 120. The under is even. Mostly seeing 12s. Over is minus 115. Under is minus 105. And set a total of an 11.8. I really want the 12.5 to the under. If I have to settle for a 12, I have to settle for a 12. But I do like the under here because I do think that James Bennett is actually doing for a lot of positivity. Right now, 4.79 ERA, but a 3.33 fielding dependent. Recognize it's a small sample size, but 0.4 home runs, 2.2 walks per 9 innings. And Ryan Feltner isn't the most atrocious Rockies pitcher. That's not saying much. 5.05 ERA, fielding dependent, right in line with that. 1.5 home runs, 3.5 walks per 9 innings. And I will say, even though the Red Sox are a bottom 5 team in terms of run creation, 3.4 runs per game at home, 4.5 runs per game away from home. They're a stinkeroonie, 12-25 at home compared to 19-19 away from home. I have no idea where these splits have come from, but there you go. The Red Sox have been much better away from home, and you've got guys that are moving the line for this team. Masataka Yoshida, Mickey Gasper, Connor Wong, Ceddanne Rafaela. A lot of guys between about a 325 to about a 350 on base. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is somewhere in that neighborhood as well. Wilson Contreras has been your main boom guy. 15 plus home runs, 380 on base. You do need a little bit more on Jarren Duran. He's been able to give you double figure amount of homers since the beginning of the month of May, but less than a 280 on base. Caleb Durbin has been about as useful as a poopy flavored lollipop. And Nate Eaton, well, he's eating it up with a $125 batting average, so yay, verily there. And then for the Red Sox, this has been a top 6 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Danny Klum has not been himself, but I think that coming off the injury list will help him out. Garrett Woodlock, a sub 3 ERA, is a nice long guy. Tyler Semenage has been solid, but he's right now dealing with a little bit of injury. Greg Weiser, after a shaky start to the season, back down below a 365 ERA. And Justin Slayton, he's been really getting rocked since coming off the injury list. I think that he's going to round into a bit of a better form. And on the flip side for the Rockies, well, right now they're a bottom 3 team in terms of bullpen ERA, even with Antonio Senzatella really having himself a nice season. He's posting up a sub 325 ERA. Jimmy Harrigan, Victor Vodnik, both of these guys are now coming off the injury list, but both of these guys north of a 440 ERA. Jane Nill has been really regressing. Juan Mejia is up to about a 7 ERA. And for the Colorado Rockies, Hunter Goodman is a good man. He's been able to give you 20 plus home runs thus far this season. And TJ Bromfield has been able to round into a little bit of better form as well. He's up to 12 bombs. He's hitting for about a 280. These are the lone 2 healthy guys that have more than 5 home runs because Mickey Moniak is still dealing with a little bit of an injury. Now Troy Johnson is hitting above 300. Willie Castro's move line hitting about a 275, but then do have quite a few guys at the bottom of the lineup like Brett Sullivan, Sterling Thompson, a lot of guys hitting at 235 or lower. Edouard Julien that you just need a bit more from. And do think that the Red Sox go out there and get the job done. So the Red Sox at a minus 168, so I'm going to be willing to take a shot on them on the money line, like that under of 12 plus semi-total 11.8, and that'll wrap things up for the Monday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. Big thanks to William Boor, who does such great work over at Action Network. He joined me in the last segment. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, the Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of 2 ways to be able to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at GNet_81. Keep in mind, there's the name does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. The other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review, and I'm with you guys every single day, giving you guys an analysis on every game every day, so I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.